You're watching Life Report. Pro-life talk. Real-world answers. Life Report trains people to more effectively defend their pro-life beliefs while honestly examining the strengths and weaknesses of both sides. We're the show other pro-lifers may have warned you about. This is Life Report.
We were just realizing as we got ready to do this show that this is going to seem like the biggest continuity error in the history of TV shows.
I'm the first woman to be pregnant for 15 months.
Because we're recording this the same day we recorded actually the premiere, which was months ago. But this is just the way the shows go. Sometimes you record things out of order. And we just realized, Carrie's really, really pregnant. And
just a little
people are going to be oh, I remember her from 10 episodes ago.
She was
pregnant then. Oh my gosh. They dressed the same. And it just became oh my gosh. People are going to be like, when's this kid going to be out of her?
We haven't
So
got
when you're
here.
seeing this, what you'll have to do is go online, and I'm sure we'll be able to find a picture of my child because he'll be 6 months old when this show comes.
Wait, we did find out
Facebook
what member of the animal kingdom does have a 15-month
We did find out. I actually
gestation.
Googled it.
gosh.
A black rhino has a 15-month gestation
Why do
period.
we know this?
So I Googled it. Now I know it. And you will always know. So yeah, we were just thinking how cool it would be for the next episode for Carrie to come back with her 6-month child. We were like, this is born yesterday. This is why it was so big. That would be amazing. All right, I want to get into this story. We were going to do it last time, or 15 episodes ago. It's really confusing. Don't try to follow it. It's okay.
Don't. This is what
But
other
because
shows don't
Carrie
tell
is
you.
here, I do want to mention that there's a new website, or was new when we recorded it, ThanksAbortion.com, which is a website for women to post their positive abortion stories, probably to counteract all the websites that have negative. People like you that tell their testimony, this is what happened, and I regret my abortion, things like that.
Right.
They've got the positive, this ThanksAbortion.com stories, which I thought was interesting. So, Carrie, what do you think about that? I was kind of curious.
Well, it doesn't really surprise me. In fact, we've talked about this before. It surprises me there hasn't been more up until this point.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't have a lot of ammunition against someone's story that says that they regret their abortion. What
Right.
can you say to that?
Right.
So, it doesn't, there's been other things in the past. There was the Ms. Magazine had the petition of girls that signed it so that I don't regret my abortion.
Right.
So there have been other things that have happened.
And that
up
seemed a
until
little
this
less
point.
extreme than thanks abortion. This is
Right.
I'm so glad. It's at least they're saying, okay, I think I made the right decision. But this seems like this cause. Maybe I don't know if they're looking for controversy or not, but the website.
Well, I think it's
was
a strategy.
Well, yeah, and I think part of it too is that abortion for women who have been through it that have a negative view of their experience. That's going to be an emotional,
right.
Thing for them, and so I think it's kind of put in your face. At some
when
level.
I encounter people who vocalize that their abortion was really good,
Right.
it's usually not. Yeah, I really feel good about my abortion. It really
Right.
made me feel good. This is a very small measure of experience, but my experience has been no. I'm glad I got an abortion. Almost
Very defensive.
defending,
Don't
almost
protest too
strongly
much.
protesting. Again, that could be an nth percentage of it, but at the same time.
To me, I don't think the website is that controversial. I think what's controversial is the T-shirts they designed to sell on the website. Have you seen these?
Mm-mm.
Okay. This is going to be interesting.
No.
They have 2 T-shirts. If you go to their T-shirt page of their website, one shows a drawing of an unborn human child in the womb sucking her thumb that says, "No thanks."
That's pretty strong.
It's a double negative.
Seems
though.
to be admitting that
Did you notice
abortion
that?
kills human beings. That looks like a human
No
being
babies,
to me
no
right
thanks
there.
means yes babies.
Yeah, it's a double negative. This is pro-life.
You're overthinking it. Just a
Sorry.
little.
They underthought the shirt, really.
You're
That's disturbing.
overthinking the shirt.
Okay, continue.
This is a
guys.
disturbing
Other
shirt.
shirts.
It
Other
is.
shirts are.
The other shirt is only one other one. This one seems to argue that abortion's a good choice because you might get into an argument with your child in the future. It has a picture of a mom arguing with a kid. It says, "Think ahead, thanks abortion."
Wow.
That's horrible.
So, yeah, This tells me they're looking for controversy.
Why would you want to wear this?
A little bit.
Okay, I don't. Okay,
Yeah, I know. I want to know how many sales have they had any sales, or is this just like something they put on their website? Just
Okay,
to
but
see?
there's a point.
okay. I have to say though, this one, and this makes me awful, but it kind of makes me laugh. Not because I think it's
I'm
funny,
not saying it's not.
but because it's so stupid. I mean, part of me thinks, well, I'm glad they're not having kids. I don't want them to have an abortion, but
Right.
Easy there, Carrie. You're
But if
sounding.
you-
no, I'm not going there. I'm just saying, like, please don't.
If that's your mindset,
just
No, I think.
trot out the toddler. Kill him now. Thanks.
Oh,
There's whatever. It's not.
I think
famous
there's
that
definitely though.
my gosh.
We haven't gotten into the stories that they're posting and everything, and there's definitely. Our argument doesn't depend upon the negativity
Right.
of abortion experiences, but I
Right.
think the idea behind an organization or a site like this
Right.
is to normalize and to bring it out, because if people keep hearing things
Yeah.
and it just becomes normal, it's not controversial anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Abortion is normal, whatever. Some people like it, some people don't. People talk about it all the time. It's a joke.
They're counteracting what we've had a few of when we've done the pro-life celebrity interviews. If you want to hear those, you can go on to prolifepodcast.net, and I've done 9 or 10 of like the top pro-life celebrity guys, and we ask them the same 9-question survey questionnaire thing. And one of the things that we ask is, what do you think has been the pro-life movement's greatest victory? And a few of them have said things along the lines of that we've kept abortion stigmatized. It's still not, after 40 years, this is not considered a good decision by the mainstream public. So what you're saying is like they're trying to counteract that. They're trying to kind of normalize it, and maybe this way it seems like the T-shirts are going to work against them.
Well,
I
it
don't know.
depends.
Well, I mean, my secondary reaction to the T-shirts, honestly, it kind of like at first, I think I kind of thought it was funny, but it makes me sad too. To be honest with you, I mean, it really does. It makes me very sad.
Yeah, this is where they're coming from. I had an interesting experience a month before we shot this. I just gotta forget the whole.
Forget
continuity.
timelines.
Forget the timeline.
while
thing.
ago.
It's just too confusing. My brain hurts. I was at Fresno City. Kyle and I were both at Fresno City a month, 2 months, whatever ago, and some pro-life activists had come from out of town. Some from Sacramento and some from LA, to come and do some activism at Fresno City. And so Kyle and I went just to kind of observe. We want to do some stuff at Fresno City. We want to kind of see how the campus reacted. We don't maybe necessarily use the exact same tactics as this group does. But so just kind of wanted to kind of see how things would go. They were there for 2 days, and we weren't there for the first day. And apparently that was when a lot of the debates actually happened. Because when I got there the second day around lunchtime, I had my Carl's Jr. with me, and I was
Is that a
just
plug
sit down.
for Carl's Jr.? Do we get a paycheck for that?
Sadly, no. But I had my lunch with me, and it was like there's no one talking. There's like nothing going on. They had like 7 students out there. So I didn't feel bad about trying something that my younger brother, had told me that he had done a couple of weeks before. He had gone to a campus in Georgia where there was a pro-life group, and he pretended to be pro-choice.
Oh, that's your favorite.
And I thought, that's awesome. Like,
Josh's
that's a great
classic
idea.
maneuver.
And, I mean, we've done that in youth groups. I should do that to actual pro-lifers. So
It's very effective.
and not to be a jerk, just to kind of like, I mean, this would be frankly, a lot more interesting for me than just standing around kind of watching what goes on, especially when nothing's going on. And it'd also be a good test for them. I'll give like good pro-choice arguments and see how they do. And then afterwards, kind of if they want tips, I can give them
guess
tips.
what?
So it's kind of like a cool interactive training, except they don't know they're being trained at the time. And so
This is not a drill.
it was not a drill. So I sat there. So I'm eating my lunch, and I kind of beckon one of the guys over, and he sits down, and I give the bodily rights argument, the do the Jarvis
Way to give him the hardest argument.
Oh yeah.
Well, if he's the advocate, if he's
We
the
don't even
pro-life
do that
advocate,
for our. All right, never mind.
This is what I do.
It's-
Anytime I do the pretend to be, I don't want to be. What's the point of pretending to be a stupid pro-choice person that
No,
makes
I would
the worst
start
arguments?
with something simple and see how they build on it. We
Okay,
don't
go
start
ahead.
first graders with algebra.
Thank
But
you,
I don't
first
expect him to.
graders.
Exactly. Thank you. High
If you're
five.
on
Thank you.
a campus
He's on a campus.
advocating, you
Yeah,
shouldn't
please
be.
continue.
Yeah,
So
and
how did
right.
this go?
He's like.
I stand corrected.
Basically, she's saying, "Shut up, Kyle."
I want to hear the story.
No.
So and I would say they're learning bodily rights arguments. Every philosophy class that we know of in America teaches this argument. So I think pro-lifers, and I think Trent Horn made a good point on the shows when he was on. He said, I don't think pro-lifers understand this argument. We understand the easier version, but we don't understand the harder one, and then we don't refute it very well. So I decided to test what Trent Horn had told me and give him the hardest one.
How'd they
and
do?
not well.
Aw.
And what happened was, and this was really interesting because I've never had this, but Trent had described this happening, and now I can share about how this happened to me. And I can see a lot of pro-lifers doing this. He confused it with a degree of dependency argument. Pro-lifers use this acronym SLED: size, level of development,
Right.
environment, degree of dependency. Most pro-choicers argue that abortion should be legal because an unborn is not valuable like you and me because of one or more of those differences, right? They say, well, it's smaller, so it's not valuable like you and me. I can't kill you, but it's teeny tiny, that's why I can kill it. That's kind of the typical pro-choice argument. It's not the best argument they've got, but it's the typical argument. So he thought that by saying that because it's dependent on the woman's body to live, that I'm saying it's not valuable. So he said, oh, well, just because it's dependent doesn't mean it's not valuable. And I said, no, I'm not saying it's not valuable. I'm saying it's a person like you and me. But I'm saying because it's dependent on the woman's body, the way that it is, and I described the violinist analogy,
Right.
that's why she should have the right to refuse to have her body be hooked up for 9 months, or at least shouldn't be legally required to be hooked up for the 9 months. And he said, oh, yeah, we have this thing called SLED, and it has D, and it says degree of dependency, and this is what it means. I said, no. Look, and I got frustrated with it. I was like, I have studied pro-life arguments and pro-choice arguments, which I have. I wasn't lying. I was like, and I know a lot of pro-choice people go to make the anti-personhood argument. I'm not doing that. I think that's a bad argument. I'm saying this, and I tried to contrast it. And then he had to try to improvise an answer because he clearly never heard the violinist analogy before.
And it's frightening.
And it is frightening. And then he was trying to, let's just say it didn't go well. And then finally the leader of the group, the one guy who actually knows my face, walks up and is like, oh, don't talk to that guy. Kind of joking around. And the guy's like, what? And then I was like, I'm pro-life. And he's like, no way. And then
Okay, I was going to ask, did you ever tell him you were
I did.
actually
Well, fine. And then he's like, what should I have said?
Oh.
Well, that's
That's
good.
good.
Exactly.
honest
And
You're
I
like,
said,
well, get your pencil
told
and
him,
paper
you
out.
want to talk? He did. He actually take notes. And I said, you want to talk about how parents have a certain responsibility to their kids. That if you create a needy child, that you owe them compensation. You can't just create children and then leave them. And that the womb seems to be designed for unborn children, versus the kidney and Judith Jarvis Thompson's argument doesn't seem to.
Right.
Now. And then I went over to another kid who wasn't talking about it and did the same thing with him, and that actually went worse. And so here's the point.
Boy, you didn't stop.
The point, and then I gave up because by then everyone was talking about it. But by that point, the first guy had got a group of his friends like, look, he's doing it to that guy. This is what he's doing. And then they came and crashed it.
You have a
here's the point is not Josh is a jerk whenever pro-lifers come to town, or to stay away from Fresno.
So that's a sub-point.
Possibly. The point is
if you're
this. We need to understand this argument. We've done 2 episodes. If you didn't see them, that you can go into prolifepodcast.net as episodes 106 and 107. Where Trent actually helps us understand the 2 different types of arguments. And Trent's the only one that's ever distinguished between the 2 types of arguments. So I think that's really helpful. And then helps refute them, especially if you're going to be on a college campus, guys. This is they're being taught this all the time, and so we need to understand this, and don't confuse them with they're not saying they're not persons. They're saying they are persons, but we should still have
when it comes along, which
legal
it's
abortion.
not the most common argument. When it does, you should recognize it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Good.
Okay, we're gonna do listener mail now.
Oh, yay! We haven't done that
We
in a while.
got
You've
an
got
email
mail.
from Gareth, who is a listener from the UK. So let's just
Do we
set.
know where the UK is?
We kn- That's a callback to like 15 episodes ago, and no one
Josh
gets
has
it but us, but it's really funny.
geography
I did have a problem explaining which continent Portugal came from.
Continent. That's a big